Hello, Pirate Dave here. It is another new comic book day. It is July 22nd, 2026. Let's get right into it with some comic books. And up first, we have Absolute Wonder Woman, number 22. Look at that cover, that ominous figure in the background. I love it so much. Of course, Kelly Thompson has been penning an absolute wonderful, no pun intended, story with Wonder Woman. Currently, Diana's mother in this universe, her surrogate mother, I guess you could say, which is Cersei, in case you didn't know, has been taken. She's been taken from her home in hell, and Diana is on a war path to save her. Certainly a fascinating turn of events for people that are only familiar with the mainline Wonder Woman, where, of course, Cersei is a classic villain of Diana, but like I said, Kelly Thompson has been doing such a wonderful job with this book. And let's get a artist credit here if we can. This usually has a double splash. See, there you go, double splash page. So no, no spoilers there. Dylan Snook is the artist for this, and of course, Jordi Belair is the colorist on Absolute Wonder Woman. Number 22. If you're not reading it, it's the only Absolute series that I am currently reading. I don't know. I don't know how far that goes in terms of credibility, but that's how much I enjoy it. Up next, we have Gambit number 1. You might call this Gambit Wanted number 1. I don't know if that might actually be the title of the series. To be honest, I'm not a big fan of current X-Men stuff. Hey, you know what? I'm not going to be a fake fan. I haven't really read a lot of X-Men comics at all. I'm familiar with the X-Men from the 1992 show when I was a kid, the X-Men movies from the 2000s, and of course, the reboot, the first. I'm familiar with all of that. I'm not familiar with the comics, except for the more current ones. I've given them a shot, and I haven't really enjoyed them. But this is being written by Chris Claremont. I am familiar with Claremont, of course, knowing that he is a classic, legendary writer of the X-Men, but he also wrote the first Miss Marvel series for Carol Danvers. So I do have, well, he wrote most of it. He didn't write all of it, but I do have an affectionate place in my heart for Chris Claremont. He also did X-Women with Milo Manara, who's one of my favorite artists of all time. Sorry that I'm yakking about Claremont so much, but this title is written by him, a return to one of his classic character he created, I believe. And it does take place in a point in the past, a past era. So it doesn't seem like you'll have to be caught up with modern X-Men to really get it. It's going to be a classic story. I'm down with that. I'm also looking into checking out that X-Men Elsewhere by John Byrne. I know that that's a more classic story as well. Up next, keeping it going with Marvel, and speaking of Carol Danvers, we have Captain Marvel Dark Past. Speaking of Miss Marvel, of course, her iconography has been making an appearance throughout this series. It's always great. I love the cover times that they have her on the cover. I love the split illustration they have with it. Of course, they have just a gorgeous face model for this iteration of Carol, and of course, that's from Lucas Wernick, artist Lucas Wernick. Colorist is Rod Fernandez, and of course, the writer of this series is Paul Jenkins. We got kind of a reveal in the last issue that was I don't know how best to say this to be polite. It was very tropey. It was very stereotypical. It's just one of those, long. Oh, you didn't know from your past, from your. And I mean, to be fair, it's not like the series is hiding that exactly with the title there in terms of what is this? I'm sorry. Did I? Okay, I'm sorry. I thought they did two like Tomb of Apocalypse ads in a row. I'm thinking of the Gambit book that I was looking into. Like I said, it's kind of a tropey development that they had in the previous issue, but look at the art. Just look at the illustration. For me, this book is worth the price, and it's not like there's a whole lot of Captain Marvel series that get printed these days. I really do wish that we saw a return to this iconography, the black and the yellow and the lightning bolt, that red sash. It's so iconic. It's so simplistic. And I'm not saying that you have to put Carol Danvers in a one-piece swimsuit and stripper boots or anything like that, but you can certainly lean into that iconography a little bit more. Who knows? Maybe from number 4 here, we will get to see her lean into that iconography a little bit more. That's kind of why I'm keeping engaged with it. I'm holding out hope for that return. Up next, we have Vampirella number 4. As I always mention, this is Christopher Priest's Vampirella. So if you're not a fan of Christopher Priest, he has very complex storylines. He really demands a lot out of readers in terms of following his, almost 80-page issue story arc here. So if you're not a fan, this may not be something you'll be interested in. I've mentioned it before, but Dynamite just has this. They cut their covers like this so that there's a small sliver of the page. The cover's just slightly too short. It's crazy. Christopher Priest, of course, has this very charming and endearing character in Dr. Cherry. He's sort of the straight man of this whole situation, with these vampires and supernatural beings and interdimensional beings and complex relationships. Dr. Cherry is this psychiatrist that's really just trying to make sense of it all. And he doesn't really actually he constantly is in disbelief, literal disbelief that anything's going on. I imagine that this is very much an insert, a stand-in for Christopher Priest, but unlike probably other negatively critical stand-ins that people identify, this is the exasperation is real. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. It's charming. Any of his stories that has a lot of heavy Dr. Cherry presence in it, all the things that you dislike about Christopher Priest, you will like those stories because he really funnels, a sort of almost meta fourth wall conversation through that character. And I'm sorry, I believe it's Davis Goetten is the artist on this book, and the colors are by Giovanni Caputo. And I've mentioned it before, the aesthetic is harkening back to. Oh, I'm sorry, not even harkening back. I've made this mistake before. Ergun Gundes does illustrate pages of these series, and I noticed that in the credits for previous books. So you can see this should be Ergun Kundez's work right there, and this will be Davis Goten's work. So a little bit more. How would you describe it? A little bit more cartoony, a little bit more lighthearted. I think people find Gundez's work to be stiff and lifeless at times. I have an affection for it, but I think it's because his aesthetic is just so strongly attached to Christopher Priest's story. If I'm being honest, I don't know that it's I don't know that I can make an argument for it actually being a great aesthetic. Lastly, for the floppies, we have a Terminal blind bag. Terminal is a brand new superhero universe from Image. It's being written by Robert Kirkman. There's a there's a user on League of Comic Geeks who's named himself to I hate Robert Kirkman. I think is something along those lines. I don't know. I don't know why you would. I don't know what the reason is to hate this man, but it makes me laugh every time I see that user name. I do think that he's having fun with it in many ways. But I don't know. Maybe he really does hate Robert Kirkman. This is a blind bag, of course. $5.99. I really don't know. I don't know. I don't know what could be. I've seen the covers for Terminal. The main character, I believe her name is Crusher. She looks great. She reminds me of Grace Jones mixed with like Rhea Ripley or China. She's just super muscle bound and has that Grace Jones aesthetic. Of course, I'm terrible with these blind bags, man. I'll cut that off the top, and then the corners will get caught on the bag. Okay, I think we're good. Let's see what we have in the Terminal blind bag, and oh uh oh, this isn't good. I mean, maybe it's good. I don't know. Maybe you're like, oh man, that's great. I had heard that this was possible. I kind of hoped that it wasn't going to happen. This is number 10. This is Terminal number 10. Yes, Terminal 1 just came out, but this is a ultra rare advance edition of Terminal number 10. Um, okay, I don't know who's watching this far, but we're going to get a little bit of a preview into the pages of Terminal number 10. I'm not going to show all of them, of course, but if you're invested in this series and you want to be invested in this series, look away. Look away. This is your last warning. Look away. So we'll get some credits here. This is being written, as mentioned, by Robert Kirkman and Joe Casey. Artist is Arthur Adams. Colorist is Dave McCaig. And I wonder how a super advanced copy of a number 10 works. I guess if you've got the scripts all planned out, you can go ahead and just, as a treat for this blind bag, you can go ahead and illustrate the number 10. Why not? Just real quick, you can see the characters here. That's who I was talking about, Crusher. I guess you wouldn't say too much like Grace Jones. She probably reminds people more like Amanda Waller, right? You see Blaster and Breaker and Thrasher and Racer and Phantasm and Imp and Minotaur and Siren and Goblin. Not the most inventive names, I'll admit. Kind of a G.I. Joe-ish to them. The title of this story is No Direction Home. And yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe I'll read this with no context whatsoever, and I will just I will just communicate how that comes across, what it implies, what it matters. I really don't know exactly what the plan was here with this super advanced copy of issue number 10, and I'll be honest, I was kind of expecting to read a number 1 and get oriented on this terminal team. That's cool though. It's exciting. Hey man, that's the thing about blind bags. You want to be surprised, right? That was quite a surprise, I will admit. Couple bonuses this week. First is Sea of Red. Vampirates from last week got me interested if there had been anything else that mashed the genre of vampires and pirates together. Apparently there had, and that book is called Sea of Red, and this is by Rick Remender. I'm not like, the biggest Rick Remender fan or anything like that. I love what's happening in the seasons. Looks like the story is also written by Kieran Dwyer, with art by Salgood Sam. And check out the aesthetic for the pages here. It's in black and white, but it's actually in black and red. Look at that red background for these pages here. Very stylistic art, very cool aesthetic. That reminds me a little bit of the Aeon Flux, right? The Liquid MTV sort of stinger intros they were doing. Look at that. Oh, that guy knows how to fish. Yeah, so if Vampirates got you intrigued in the vampire pirate mashup, here's a book that seems to be pretty well received. It's a very interesting idea. It's obviously not in color, but it is in a very atmospheric black and red. I really love it, and I will be surprised if we have like the high society version of like a vampire culture that we saw in Vampirates. Maybe we will. Who knows? I mean, you can see there's certainly some sort of vampire culture going on there, but I am excited to dive into Sea of Red, the vampire pirate book. Lastly, for this week, for all the good it will do, I know that not too many people watch these, and even fewer people watch them this far. If you have, awesome, thank you. I really don't know how to express my gratitude other than to say that I know that, when it comes to like YouTube videos and things like that, I don't know. When I hear that, it always feels insincere and performative and stuff like that because, people have hundreds of thousands of people watching them and whatever. Me, I don't even know if anybody's hearing this, but I appreciate it if you all do watch these. I kind of just do them for myself to talk out comics, since I don't get a whole lot of opportunities to do that. And I did think I would use the opportunity to make an appeal and bring up this book. I did mention the Extraordinary Voyages really when I started doing this. I think it was the second video I did. I had picked up Extraordinary Voyages and I showed it off, and I had picked up volume 2 a couple months ago, but I did not share it. These books are amazing. They are World War era steampunk books based on the style of Jules Verne, based on the sort of world imagined by Jules Verne. I'm not saying that they take place in a Jules Verne established universe. I'm just saying that the universe is inspired by that. It's about these two children. They are Everett and Naomi. Their parents are always working. They're workaholics, scientists. They don't really get a lot of attention, but suddenly their parents go missing. And so they go off on this extraordinary voyage with their people associated with their parents, former lab assistant, and her identity actually comes clearer later. And they uncover this very grand conspiracy and mystery. This all takes place in the era of the First World War, just past it, when a force called the Universal Axis invades the world and starts, warring. And there's also, of course, the war going on between the nations as well as the Universal Axis. So it's this big sort of three-way dance, and you can see the art in here is just absolutely gorgeous and detailed. I will say that these panels are difficult to read at times. The format's just very small, to be fair. These are translated from a 2008 French series, and the creator team for that series actually just recently released a Disney book called The Amazing Lost Ocean in this same aesthetic, in this same style. It features Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, and Pete as sort of steampunk inventors uh, solving a mystery of physics happening with the ocean. But this book in particular, the reason why I bring it up is because it's such a stylistic universe. Maybe not everybody's into steampunk, but it's so imaginative. And this really is the type of series that I think you're going to kick yourself for not picking up when you had the opportunity to at $20 a piece for the hardcover, $15 for the trade paperback. The Extraordinary Voyages Volume 1 came out earlier this year. Volume 2 came out a little bit later. And we have a Volume 3 and a Volume 4 coming out by the end of the year. Volume 3 is coming out in September. This is if you're listening and this premise sounds fascinating to you, this World War era steampunk, super imaginative, highly colored, highly detailed, wonderful, wonderful adventure book. If that sounds interesting to you, pick up these books now and pick up Volume 3 when it comes out in September. Pick out Volume 4 when it comes out. I believe it's slated for December. They are wonderful, wonderful stories. And if you don't pick them up now, this may be something that's lost to time and you'll have to spend $100 a piece, a couple of years down the road because somebody finally dug them up and realized how extraordinarily to use another pun there, how extraordinarily wonderful they truly are. And I'm sorry if these appeals are silly to, you who have watched this far or skipped ahead, whatever you did. But for whatever it may, if this is falling on one set of ears, if only one person is listening to this and it makes you look into these books a little bit further, even that much, that's what I wanted to do here. I just wanted to do my part and to use what resources I had available to myself to really just appeal to somebody, anybody. These are amazing stories that are being translated for English and released right in the current year. And I do recommend you be a part of them because it's just so fascinating. Hopefully, the only regret you'll have is that there's some better collected edition down the road that collects all 4 volumes and is it a treasury edition format with super big panels. But that's not going to happen, I think, if these do not sell. That's why I'm so passionate about it. So thank you very much for tolerating that. If you have, I hope you're having a wonderful week. I hope you found a book that you're just as passionate as I am about the Extraordinary Voyages. And I will see you next week. Bye.